And we are streaming and we are live. Excellent. Let me just check the numbers here a minute, just to check that I'm not dropping any frames. Nope. And let me just check this. Alright, okay then. Everybody who wants to be... Excuse me a second. Pardon me. Ooh, my dinner's fighting back. Everybody on Foundry and in and working.
Can't lock my keyboard.
Somebody on your keyboard, Mike?
My cat.
Aha! I guessed as much, but I didn't like to
You
assume.
have a co-pilot.
This is a common occurrence in this hobby.
Some
Alright.
random middle-aged man's on there.
So if you start typing random stuff, it's actually the cat. Right, gotcha.
Yes.
That's what
So-
it wants us to think, isn't it?
Yes.
So if it all of a sudden says kill the captain, that's actually the cat. Gotcha.
It is. It is.
Excellent.
I was expecting more of help, the cat's held me hostage, but fair enough.
No, the cat won't allow him to type that.
I mean, that's why it's going to be out of the ordinary.
Okay, everybody who wants to be connected to Sirenscape and actually hearing something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Spiffing! Then, now that you've connected to it, I'm going to turn it off. So I can also turn off the engine rumble. Something about when I disperse people's patterns into space and blame the cat, no one believes me, says Lachute. Alright then, folks, we have a fully updated intro video to show you, so we will be back with you in 1 minute and 1 second. Or is it 4 seconds? And there we have it. Our new intro video, fully updated. How does it feel to have your name on the credits, Mike?
Fabulous.
Excellent. Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the further adventures of the USS Navis. With me, as ever, are the entire intrepid crew of the Navis. And just so that we've got something besides myself for you to listen to, let's throw the background ambience into place. Hello everybody, I am MJ the GM, and I will be your Games Master for this evening, and with me, as I've already indicated, are my crew and the supporting cast of the USS Navis, ready to go into more adventures. Lieutenant J.G. Edwards having a promotion in the credits. Did he?
It did.
Well, technically,
It
Lieutenant's
says
still
lieutenant.
it's short at a type.
I accept this promotion with dignity and humility.
I don't.
It's already happened.
It's a complete accidental thing and not a subtle foreshadowing hint that he's been replaced by a change. Damn it!
Sorry, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my bad.
No, I'm Section 13, that's why I'm mysteriously going up the ranks without any
Yep.
prior not warning.
Who the hell's Section 13?
The one you don't know about.
Yeah.
The one nobody
It's
talks
right-
about.
The really
It's a
secret
pirates,
It's the really secret one. Most people think it's Section 31, but you know.
Switch the
Section
numbers
13
around and it's Section 13. You never saw that coming,
Yeah,
did you?
Yeah, Section 13 is
Like,
the one
the whole
surprising
thing's
everyone.
hidden behind a
Yeah.
typo.
Yeah. They very slightly changed the name, kind of like how the Cardassian changed their secret police to the Jade Order.
They do, however, have a very nice warehouse.
I have a problem. I can't log in.
Having problems? Okie dokie.
I got in the Foundry, but it's not recognizing my password for the game session, and I
Let
tried
me in.
everything I can remember. Do it?
The password that you should be trying the final time should be "let me in."
Okay.
Yeah, just make sure it's all lowercase.
Little pig, let me in.
I remember that.
Not with that
Green
voice, though.
jelly. Kinda. It was a big bad wolf. It was a man called Green Jelly, I think.
Yes, I remember that.
Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin.
Something about Rambo.
Yes. Rambo.
The only the only track anyone remembers them making. Green Jelly.
Exactly.
Well, as far as one-hit wonders go, that's not bad. In any case, righty ho. I can see you in now.
I think counters our first cross-franchise reference.
No, because Rambo exists in Star Trek Universe.
Is he? Which episode is he guesting?
Okay. So, yeah, before we get too fully into things, Jan made a very interesting suggestion, which was to use his medium milestone to replace one of the Navis's ship talents with another one. So, let's have a looky look and see what the rest of the guys think. So, yeah, originally the talent you took was modular laboratories, which was at the start of an adventure, the crew may decide how the modular labs are configured, and it counts as an advantage which applies to work performed within the laboratories. But, as has probably been guessed, they haven't seen a heck of a lot of use for the purposes of creating said advantage. So, if you guys think that something else could be used, Jan has recommended advanced shields or captain's yacht. So,
I mean, I'm down for a captain's yacht.
I'm sure you are. But what do other people think? I mean, the captain's yacht, as far as the talent goes, the vessel has a single additional support craft, normally mounted in a dedicated port under the saucer of the ship. These craft, larger than most shuttles, are often used for diplomatic missions and special excursions by the commanding officer and are known simply as the captain's yacht.
I have a suggestion from the engineering department.
Sure.
We have a tertiary warp core.
Warp core, stick more warp cores on.
You want more reactors.
It had to be
More
said.
power.
The whole ship is
Just gonna-
just a warp
Poor
core.
Nova's going to be out of a job, not because of sort of like it's just Vivus just brings another warp core online.
No,
Well,
it's
I
still
think
got
less of a job. It's going to be
redistributed
more of a
power.
job, surely.
It's just to make sure it doesn't explode.
You know, it's going to get to a point where both the captain and the commander is going to have to fight over what we have more of, torpedoes or warp cores. To start eating into each other's space.
Why
Not
not
just
have
have torpedo course.
Yeah, we could just have warp core torpedoes.
Just
Best
file
of both
warp
worlds.
cores. Good grief. So,
Hey, if there's a planet killer coming, it's the best thing for it.
I was going to say, would it be more like a catapult rather than a torpedo? Just flung into space.
a space trebuchet
Intergalactic.
attached to the back.
I was about to say
That's the way.
trebuchet. Intergalactic warp core trebuchet.
I like that.
Claude has a new assistant. You can't see this, but Gareth has managed to Photoshop quite creatively Rambo onto a Starfleet officer. Rambo's head onto a
Bit of
Starfleet
trivia.
officer.
He appears to not have a neck, though.
The head that was originally there, I pasted Rambo's head on, was Luke Skywalker's.
Which explains the black glove. Right, gotcha.
Yep.
So this-
See Rambo's headband matches his tunic.
That's a good point.
I just realised
Looks
we
like
don't need the
Picard's tunic.
trebuchet. We just need Claude to have a spacewalk and go along with it.
So, in all seriousness, if there is indeed a ship's talent that you think would work better, advanced shields being one, you've already got extensive shuttle bays. So I don't know. Thoughts are open. If you want to have a look at the ones available, if you go to the items section of the Foundry tools column on the right, and under the folder of Starship Talents, you can see a load.
Vipers, do you reckon you can, as your next scientific project, make us an illegal cloaking device? We can hide it in the port nacelle. No one ever speaks of it or sees it.
We can't have a cloaking device. Vipers will just use it for more contraband. There'll just be
You
piles
have
of
no
it.
proof of any contraband on this ship. I have not seen a single report of contraband that's been passed.
I think if you look in the ship's other cargo section, it's right there.
So it'll just make
I shifted it.
It'll make small modular ones. There'll just be like piles of contraband just in the hallways, but covered by a cloaking device.
Well, we could always get. How about getting into Lux Galley for Mr. Monoko?
Can we go for sources separation, just for lols?
Just leaving the entire back section on its own, right? Yeah.
So if we can't get that, how about cloaked mines? Because they're totally in Starfleet's.
Well, you can get a cloaking device. It does say the cloaking device is there.
I mean, technically, at this time, the Defiant was around, and it was an agreed upon thing. And this is supposed to be technically 20th Fleet that you're attached to is supposed to be part of the whole Klingon-Federation working in tandem kind of thing. So, Klingon cloaking device.
Well, only because the Combs wanted one now. It's like, I want one.
Hey, Webby, I know you suggested saucer separation. I'll just say, why go with that when we go with multi-vector assault mode?
Oh, is
that
multi-vector
was the
assault mode
next
on
step.
there?
Yeah, that's on there.
There's not enough of the ship to do multi-vector assault
But
mode.
just put more stuff on the ship.
You just send out the fighters to tow different bits that just eject out.
You're gonna split down the middle, and then the sort of like the front end of the saucer's going to come off. So you're gonna get one in a cell on 2 bits.
Yeah, but the real question need to be asked is, which one would Fazanan be piloting?
No,
All of them.
Multi-vector assault mode for this ship is the saucer,
Yeah.
each nacelle with its arm, and the battle module filled with the torpedo launchers.
It's the battle module.
It has
can't
nothing
move,
else.
though.
It just sits there as everything else is thrown off and it's shooting.
Do you know what would have been really useful on the last mission? High power tractor beam.
Well,
Or giant robot transformation.
I cannot see giant robot transformation.
You just turn into Gundam wing style.
I just noticed that there's a runabout long duration mission module which was rest areas and sleeping quarters for up to 4 people in the runabout. Maybe Thaznan should just secretly install those in the runabout. So that becomes my new cabin.
luxury quarters. It's not on board the ship. It's on the runabout. Nice.
There's a shuttlecraft scratch shield.
And we just get an automatic buff, and it's like, it'll buff right out. It's on fire, it'll buff right out.
It'll grow back.
All right. In all seriousness, yeah. Do people think it's worth keeping the modular laboratories, or has it had its chance? Because you did get it a while ago, and you haven't really used it for the advantage it gives. So I'm fine with you swapping it out for something else.
What was the advantage it was meant to give?
Basically, the configuration counts as an advantage which applies to work performed within the labs.
Alright, we never did actually use it, didn't actually realise that's how it worked.
It's one of them we forgot that we've had.
Now, you did use... Nice, Sean. You did... I think the idea with taking it before is that you guys have done a lot of scientific experimentation, which we will get into in a minute because there are still more science. There's still more science to do. So it made sense at the time that thematically the ship could have modular labs because you guys have been working on everything from giving Unit Hello a chassis to now the holographic torpedoes, and Bertram's work with vegetation-based medicine applications and all that jazz. So the idea at the time was probably, well, definitely a valid one, but as far as having it as a talent to be utilized, it hasn't really been utilized, so it's a pretty fair attack to give it. Now, this thing has been damaged enough that rugged design could also help because it reduces the difficulty of tasks to repair the ship.
Yep, welds are stronger than hull plating.
Yes.
I mean, advanced shields, as if you needed more shields, will give you
We don't have ablative,
more
we don't
shields.
Have ablative armor, do we?
You do have ablative armor.
Do
It's
we?
the first thing you have. That's why your resistance, your ship's resistance, is so much higher than a regular Scale 5 ship.
There's always backup EPS conduits.
Because heavens knows that happens a lot on your ship.
Well, when we get
supposed to explode then?
No, it's more when we lose power because of suffering damage, we get to roll challenge dice, and which potentially prevents loss of each point of power.
Valid.
The advanced shields is always a good one.
Yeah. I guess by what the stuff we're throwing around, we are essentially treating this as a warship.
I think so, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, we're
So
a
Navis
ship
is-
of peace that happens to be the best torpedo launchers in the fleet.
Well, like the old saying is, speak softly and carry a big quantum torpedo launcher.
There is no overkill.
To badly
Only
paraphrase
fire and
Warhammer.
time to reload.
I think you're also going with Shaolin monks there as well, but okay. I don't quite think the Shaolin monks envisaged the sheer level of destroy that you guys could pull out if you wanted to. But yes, there's that. So, I don't know. We could...
And extra armor and just go into ramming speed.
We could leave it. I mean, if you wanted extra armor, then there is the... Where is it? Improved hull integrity to make your resistance even higher. Which is ridiculous, but there you go.
Ramming
It's-
into things.
I mean, unless anybody has got any solid ideas as to what you guys might like, then, we might default to Jan's original recommendation.
We could always do with another shuttle. So Captain's yachts will be cool.
Okay.
Another one I was also looking at is the fast targeting systems.
Fast targeting, yes. Those actually could be quite useful, especially because of the... Even though, isn't it fast targeting systems? Thazanan's navigational talents, helm talents, allow him to lower the difficulty of how hard it is to shoot somebody while he's performing evasive maneuvers, but this lowers the difficulty.
It doesn't lower it. The ship does not.
Oh, that's for
suffer
targeting
the normal
specific
difficulty
systems.
Increase for targeting specific systems. That's really specific, and we very rarely target engines. We just fire and blow them up. We don't need
It's not true.
Yeah, we don't need a talent. We've got a claw and we've got a cabal. That's
With a hammer, not the scalpel.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, that's one vote so far for Captain's Yacht. Any advances on Captain's Yacht?
I want a cloaking device. Out of the two that's been suggested, I would prefer the advanced shield just because it means we've got the edge. The additional ship's more is useful, but at the same time, it's one of them of we have got an attack fighter and a runabout. So,
And
yeah,
your
my vote's
extensive
for
shuttle
shields.
bay already counts for having more than the regular number of small craft in your ship anyway. But on the same time, what's one more? Okay, so one for advanced shields, one for captain's yacht. Alex, what do you think?
I'd probably say the shields would be a bit more worth it. In all seriousness.
Alrighty, Davis, you ordered captain's yacht, so who's now... Jan, what's your preference?
Tough choice. Guess we're more guaranteed to get use out of the advanced shields.
Okay. Gareth, what do you think?
I'm going to say captain's yacht.
Okay.
This would be
'Cause
chaotic.
partly because my character is a doctor, so he tends to be slightly less sort of warlike, but also so he goes down to the wire because I'm a jerk like that.
Mike, your opinion. What do you think? Advanced shields or
Shield.
captain's yacht?
Shields.
Shields. And Shawnee Boy.
I think it's going to have to be shields.
Alright then, overwhelmingly 5-2 it seems to be advanced shields. No bad thing. Alrighty, so Jan, if you can note on your character notes that you spent a medium milestone, that would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Hey,
and
Matt.
we will flip that out. Yep.
Can I spend a medium milestone?
Do you want to change the advanced shields to something else?
We'll just spend it to just keep rotating them back round.
I heard
think we-
modular laboratory.
I heard
book.
modular laboratories are really good at the moment.
Good lord, look at that. It's gone from 14 shields to 19. Wow.
Ramming speed.
Well,
Speed.
yeah. This is interesting actually, because recently, for reasons that I will leave well enough alone, I was comparing the Navis to the Thunderchild, which was, of course, the other Akira class in use, one of the major, most famous Thunderchild, Akira class ships in use at the time, according to what the guys at Modiphius statted it with. And there are some bit, because you have the mission profile of multi-role explorer. Obviously, you've tried to cover as many bases as possible that the Navis could possibly come across and fulfill them to the betterment. But the Thunderchild, however, went very much with a combat role for its mission profile, and therefore does have somewhat more oomph in combat-based areas. But you guys, you'll not be surprised to learn, have got a lot more staying power, especially now because you've got both power and shields that's in excess of what the Thunderchild have got. But the Thunderchild do
Well,
pack
the
something of a
Thunderchild
lot
supposedly
more.
took down 3 Borg spheres on its own. Well, it fought 3 Borg spheres on its own to allow the civilian transports to escape. Because they pulled off of the original War of the Worlds.
So this is why this is why I've been known to portray the captain of the Thunderchild as a bit of an arrogant jerk. You haven't met him yet, but okay. Advanced shields are in there. Alrighty. Before I get onto your science-based shenanigans, is there anything else anybody else wants to do regarding milestones potentially?
Given that we're moving the laboratories, I might replace lab rat with something else.
Oh,
That's
okay. Lab rat. Okay, so your lab rat thing was, because of this, familiar with experimental capabilities of the labs on board the ship. When you have an extended task while using a lab, the character gains a progression 1 impact. I mean, there are
labs
still
are still
labs. There are still labs,
Yeah.
you just don't have the talent for the thingy. So, but if you want to change a talent, that's fine. What were you thinking?
I'm just looking through the talents now to
Shopping.
Shopping, basically.
We're shopping. Fine, fair and good.
Got a little bit of your points to spend for Vibers as well.
Well, okay. Just to keep things moving a bit, whilst Gareth is window shopping for what to replace with, how about we get on with those hologrammatic torpedoes that you were trying to create?
Yeah.
So, for those who don't remember, those watching on the stream or those watching on YouTube later on, our first officer, formerly the chief engineer, had the ingenious notion, and he's somehow taken to stress. How'd that work? Weird. Commander Kano Vibers had the idea, along with help from some others, of creating a kind of torpedo that lands on an enemy ship, bores through the hull, and then unleashes just basically hologrammatical chaos on board of an enemy ship. Makes them think they're being boarded by someone or something. Keeps them busy.
Attack triples.
Indeed.
That's a scenario you can load into it when we get it working.
So far, using my interpretation of the scientific method rules suggested in the core rulebook of Star Trek Adventures. Again, I might not necessarily be doing it exactly the way the guys wrote it in the rulebooks, but this is the way I do it, so it works for me. It's worked for us so far. So you had 5 areas of investigation: holographics, torpedoes, electronic warfare, infiltration, and security protocols. You're currently looking into torpedoes. So we're about almost halfway, we think, along the trail of experimentation, investigation, that kind of thing. So who are you bringing onto this to assist you? Vibers? I think Claude was helpful because his direct focus on weapon systems, so...
Yeah, Claude was in it.
Claude was helping.
Forget who else was in on it.
I think Edwards was?
Potentially.
Might have been.
I seem to recall Nova was suggested too, what with her tinkering and...
Yeah, that was it. Edwards' experimental technologies focus.
And Nova with her tinkering.
Yeah.
I've got
As
quantum
such.
physics.
Sorry, go on. What was that, Mike? I didn't catch that.
I've got quantum physics. We can make quantum holographic torpedoes.
Well, you know.
We could bring in Ori and Fazanan in for this week's attempt with the one about we're making torpedoes. Let's bring the science guy in to make sure it actually makes sense. Because quantum stuff in holographic emitters, weird stuff.
Yeah, it would be an idea to bring in your new chief science officer. However, what were you thinking about in regards to bringing Fazanan in on this?
If I make a weapon, we probably need to still be able to guide it.
Guidance system knowledge. Interesting. I mean, yes, I suppose it will need astronavigational systems to know to guide itself and not detonate when it hits. It has to latch on. Okay, I can see that.
I'm seeing it's vaguely becoming like a drone. Just someone piloting it from the ship.
Well, it has to be aimed and fired like a regular torpedo. It just has different function to a torpedo. A torpedo is meant to detonate when it lands against its target, whereas this one is supposed to attach to it. So its protocols are different, that's all. As such, we keeping Claude?
I should keep Club. It needs to be fireable by button.
And we're bringing Ori in on this one this time just to make sure that any related quantum physics shenanigans can be adhered to.
Torpedoes!
Well, he seems keen. And you want Fazanan involved for guidance systems. Okay.
If you want him,
Also
yeah.
got security protocols for,
Yep.
guess,
I think
that works
filtration.
too.
That's 5
Yeah.
dice you got there. So.
So you got the full 5. So you can't buy extra dice and you can't use determination. But you got the full complement of folks you can use. So in this case, we're looking at... Alright, from Viper's perspective, this is going to be reason and engineering, because, obviously. From Claught's perspective, which we can have Webby do this because, you know, fangirl. This is going to be probably reason and security from Claude with his knowledge of ship combat systems. If we're using Ori for his quantum physics, and this is going to be reason and science, because you're looking at the numbers side of things, and if we're using Cavall for security protocols in regards to basically having protocols to know that the torpedo doesn't just turn around and go for the ship that fired it, probably a good thing. So, reason and con, yeah, that makes sense to me, yeah. So,
It could also be because of my small craft knowledge, so maneuvering.
sorry, Jan, you're rather quiet to me. Can you say that again?
Sorry, it could also be because of my small craft knowledge.
Yeah? Yeah, okay, it's a stretch, but I'll have that. Yeah, I'll allow that.
So it still deals with maneuvering small craft.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no problem. You can go with those. So you all have your assigned roles. Oh, look at that! Plort rolled a complication.
We haven't heard that noise in a while.
It's fine, just hasn't Ori got
Does Ori
one of
have
you,
something?
one of
that
you can re-roll the first complication.
Does
Does he have
anybody
what?
have something about re-rolling a complication? I'm not sure you do.
Oh, I find out.
Oh, wait a minute! You're going to have to draw upon one of your. One of you's going to have to draw upon one of your awards. Yes.
Oh, it's Tala that had parent figure, wasn't it? Just
Yeah, I'm
like,
afraid so.
Do that.
On the
Alright,
roll,
do
is
you
it
wanna do
perform
yours?
challenge or perform task?
Perform task, please. 1 dice with focus, nothing else. Smashing.
Claw's
One
bored of
success.
just pressing buttons.
2 successes. And oh my, oh my, oh my. This is going well.
Do we take that as fate that we need to just take a complication, or do we pay to get rid of it?
We pay for it, we'd have no complications on the Navis.
Okay.
All
Even
right.
if I have to spend the determination, we have no complications on this ship.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Some headway is made with this particular project. Unfortunately, some folks get a bit mixed up with trying to interface all their various numbers. Mostly, Lieutenant Ori is working up the numbers for the for various bits like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle and all of that nonsense. I say nonsense, it's actual proper stuff, but you know, what do I know? On things like, well, you have to kind of compensate for all of these unknowns and all of that stuff, which just makes Claude go, but it's a torpedo. You fire it and then it goes boom. And Vibus is there going, look, can you guys just stop poo-pooing my project, please, and get on with what I've asked you to do? And it kind of throws everybody off the maths a little bit. So you've made some progress, and at the moment it's looking good to create a functioning torpedo chassis where you've got this section at the forward part of the torpedo that's meant to release all these little hologrammatical projectors that then fly and swarm through the ship. So the idea is sound, but at the moment the maths just aren't adding up, and some of the simulations are producing ridiculous results. So somebody's fouled up the maths somewhere. You've corrected your maths as best as you're able, but oof.
I think I've got a reason why Daystrom hasn't released anything like this yet.
So you have made progress. Let me make that clear.
Do you want
Progress
me to
has
bring
been
up my
made.
contacts?
Well, you know, if you need to, then they're there. So, yes, Claude goes off in a bit of a huff. Like, well, if you didn't need my help, why'd you call on it?
They got it wrong. Claude got
Exactly. But nobody was
Claude
listening
doesn't
to
make
Claude, so I'm
mistakes.
just going to go back to my station. And Vipers, like any good workman, always blames his tools. So, next up, Gareth, you were trying to window shop for a new talent. Have you found one?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with quick study.
Quick study. Okay, feel free to delete lab rat then, and drag in quick study instead. And also, if you could be so kind to make note of spending a medium milestone, was it?
Yep.
In your character notes, pretty please, just so you can keep them up to date. Okie dokie. We're going to continue on with a bit more science, I think, because I think Gareth had his science project that he wanted to work on.
Yep.
Or at least start
Yep.
on. So, rather than bog everybody down, what are your hypotheses? What are the avenues of investigation that you're pursuing? People can feel free to suggest some if they think about it.
I was thinking using some of the similar ones last time, so botany, biology, xenobiology, and biotechnology. But given it's based on hieroliching, so you can replace in surgery with mycology.
So botany, biology, xenobiology, mycology, and what was the other one?
Biotechnology.
Biotech. I can't spell. Alright,
Right.
so... I need to make a decision as to which one I think is the correct path, if there's one there at all. Okay. Folks know what the Doctor gets up to. Does anybody think that there should be an additional or a different avenue of investigation on any of those that you can think of? Or does Gareth's list sound good to
So
everybody
with
else?
phase 2, you were going on about you're drawing it off of you're improving one
Actually,
of your
I'm adapting the hieroliching, which is the
the radiation
absorbed
eating force,
radiation.
isn't it? Yeah.
and basically trying to create a version of the template scaffold plant that was step 1, where it can be basically used as basically an organ implanted into a body that can filter radiation a lot more easier and basically make the body more able to absorb radiation without damaging itself. As a lot of the template plants are planned, the idea is they can be used in people who suffered various forms of damage to their physiology that makes certain things more difficult for them, like a vulnerability to radiation or damage to their respiratory system that means they can't process oxygen properly, or alternatively as ways if there's expected, especially sort of like over a period of time, to be exposure to certain environmental hazards. They can be used either as sort of like a backup to standard technology or as a way to get round those hazards when the environment doesn't allow for standard technology to be used, such as electromagnetic interference.
Not
So
that
that's
we've
the
ever had
ultimate
that.
goal of... Yeah, there may have been some inspiration for this from some of our pre-adventures. But yeah,
Okay.
that's basically the ultimate aim of the scaffold plant project, is to have an array of different template plants that could be different template organs that can be used for different scenarios.
Nice. Okay, with that in mind, so Gareth has noted botany, biology, xenobiology, mycology, and biotechnology as avenues of investigation.
Yeah.
Anybody think? Yep.
I think biotech's probably going to be your starting one to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you're ultimately unstripping the gene code.
Yeah.
I got genetics.
Or genetics, yeah. Genetics would be a good one as well to consider.
True.
Genetics would be a good one. So, any advances on the list? You're allowed a maximum of 5, a minimum of 3, so... I mean, ultimately, it's the Good Doctor's project, so you don't have to go with what other people suggest, but, you know, I'm asking for additional thoughts just in case something occurs.
If I was to place one with genetics, it'd probably be xenobiology. At this point, I don't think it really counts as alien xeno stuff. What do you guys think?
Good with that?
You could make an argument to say it is, but yeah, I agree with you on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, biology, botany, genetics, mycology, biotech.
Yeah.
Alright, well, if we're good, then we start off with our first attempt at creating our new scientific experiment. So, the first thing I have to ask is, what are you going to go with biotech as the avenue to pursue, or are you going to go with one of the others to start with?
I'll start with biotech.
Alright. Okie dokie, so this is going to be the usual, led by Bertram, probably reason and medicine with... I mean, he's got biotechnology as a focus, so that all makes sense. Yep. Anybody want to help the Good Doctor out? Now, I do note that those who have already helped Vibers, including Vibers himself, with their previous project, this is a downtime thing, so they won't be able to get involved in this one. Only one downtime per interim between an episode, so that means Ori, Fazanan, and Claught and Vibers are unavailable because they've been working on their own project, so the Good Doctor can call upon anybody else to assist that he wishes.
Well, the previous guys who've been helping with the first stage are, of course, welcome if they want.
So, Fizal and Eric?
Yep.
If Eric's allowed out from the counselling sessions and the divorce settlement.
You're not in charge of my life, Gene.
I mean, I didn't want to say it earlier when we were like listing things of what he gets up to. It's like, you're missing Jenny Eric off that list.
Alright, so Fizal has got biology and genetics as focuses, which are useful, and Ensign Eric has got botany. But as far as your current one for biotech, one's not entirely certain how useful botany could be, unless you just want to use Eric as help for her attributes and disciplines.
Yep, pretty much.
You could potentially argue to swap Eric for Cursed, because the emergency investigation specialist could be used as saying that's the long-term goal.
Okay, a case can be made. She has got very low medicine, though. It's not her specialty.
Never stopped them before.
Well, quite. I mean, Fizal's medicine is only 1, so... You know. It might not necessarily be the medicine side of it they're coming from. It's more the science side of it they're coming from, which Kirst has got more of. As does Fizal.
Could always get Mr. Minoko to help.
Okay.
Serves the med.
Well, he does. Yeah, he minds the medicine. He's got the medicine cabinet hidden under the bar, if I remember.
Ah, so that's what it's now classified as, medicine, right? Okay. Thank you for that.
To quote Dr. McCoy, I only use it for medicinal purposes.
Make the
All right,
pain go away.
We need to shift the crate again.
That's what Andrew's been doing on her downtime, just scouring the entirety of the ship.
I know we have hidden it somewhere. All right then.
Yep.
Let's have.
We don't have phaser banks on the port side anymore.
Sean, do you
We don't
want to
have
be cursed or do you want to be Fezal?
I'll take Cursed.
I thought as much, but I thought I'd check. Alex, would you be Fezal for me, please? So these are probably going to be the usual reason and... I'm going to say reason and science, because genetics is a science, so one could make it. But of course, Bertram is going to use his stronger suit, which is, of course, reason and medicine. So, thank you, Ensign Fezal. 1 success, not bad.
I'll throw in a reason as foundation determination.
Okie dokie, I thought you might. And what's that? Whoa, 1 success from Cursed, so both the assistants are pulling their weight. And Bertram gets 6 successes, a 2, a 2, and a 1! Wow!
Bertram really
Dang.
wants, really working towards that medal he'll eventually hope for.
Yeah, jeez, Louise. Right, so that's 6, 7, 8. One after the other. Good lordy. Some very, very serious headway made with that particular project. Nicely done, Doctor and his assistants. Very promising. Looking from the start, this looks like this, as Webby noted, yeah, you're looking to modify people's genetic code almost, because there's a certain amount of, as much as it's a biological thing, there is that whole problem with rejection. You're asking the body to trust a foreign body to take over some of its function, so or to do an additional function rather. So this is what this is all about, though. Science. Okay. Science. Science has been done, and very thoroughly at that. I'm going to say that's that for the science, but what I will say is that does anybody have any future science projects they think they're going to be going for maybe after this episode's end? You don't have to answer me right now, but it's a valid enough... I say valid, it's something to consider potentially. So, yeah, you can either, if you've got an idea, then feel free to post it, but otherwise you can hold on to it or maybe have a think about it if there's something you want to do as the downtimes. So, unless anybody would like to shout out what their next idea might be, then we will proceed on to the episode as intended. So, okay. This actually your changing of the Navis's talent actually ties in very nicely with what I wanted to do at the beginning of this episode. So we will say that because this episode takes place 3 days later after the last episode's shenanigans, what with rescuing the archaeological expedition, and not to mention the Navis itself before the star exploded. The last 3 days have been spent repairing the couple of the pieces of structural damage done to the Navis, but also swapping out a few things and putting in some additional power and shield emitters. So the Navis has now been refitted with additional shields. Whilst this refitting has been going on, of course, the crew has been rotating on and off duties on the ship, what with especially the engineering folk needing to start interfacing the new systems with the current ship's tactical systems, which means that Claude is needed, the captain and the first officer are needed now and then in order to make sure that everything is going smoothly with no delays, but most other folks who are not actively involved in the refit of the Navis, especially because it's only a duration of 3 days have gone past, The rest have been pretty much on shore leave. No one presses Claude's button while Claude is busy. Well, exactly. One hesitates to think what the consequences of that would be.
A claw fist to the head, I believe.
Just punch a hole in reality.
Exactly.
A sign would pop up saying, "Do not press this button again."
Yeah. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200.
In any case, the majority of the crew has got shore leave as a result, and are able to enjoy their small amount of downtime on Narendra Station itself, which means that those who like to enjoy some of the time with your Klingon compatriots can do so. Those who like to spend time with either their onboard families or their romantic interests can do so. It's like I said, at the third day after the Navis is brought in for repairs and refit that you do get an unusual visitor. But the first thing that happens is, whilst Lieutenant Edwards is otherwise going about his own business on board the station, he suddenly gets a hard punch in the kidney from someone who comes up behind him. At which point, Edwards realizes that it's Dr. Talliaferro, the head of the Civilian Science Department on board Narendra Station. At which point...
there are softer places you could have said hello.
Yeah, but they don't make my point for me, replies the Doctor. Besides, I have need of your assistance, and I didn't want you to think that I was going soft on you in any way whatsoever. But I do, and you have no idea how much this pains me to ask, need your help and that of your captain and your crew. So I need you to take me to your leader.
Gets out a tricorder and starts recording. Can I hear that again, please?
No.
Spoil.
Gonna make me punch you in the balls, or am I gonna be able to get some assistance getting on board your ship?
Okay, but if you are unaware, we have had a slight changing of the guards and of our current captain, so you might need to be a bit sweeter. Or scrappier, depending. You either go to one extreme or the other. But knowing you, I suppose I probably should get a boxing ring set up.
Oh, I'd love to go 5 rounds with Talliaferro. I'll let her have the first 4.
Captain in the lower deck by any chance?
Okay, so, I imagine, I would hope, Edwards lets it be known that Dr. Talliaferro would like a word with the senior staff of the Navis. So, at some point, whilst you are all available...
He would message ahead just saying the Doctor would like a word with the senior bridge crew, if that's possible. If you're able to spare some time, if you're all agreed, then you'll be able to hear her out.
The first response would be, has it gone through Admiral Hebert first?
The answer to that would be no.
Yeah, I'd look to Talliaferro, I was like, raised an eyebrow. But then it'd be, no, it hasn't, not yet.
Then the request would be that it has to go through our line first, or if it needs to be something that needs to be discussed off record, we'll obviously hear her out, but then also we'll confer before we actually agree to undertake anything.
How yeah. She literally spins Edwards around and just leans over and yells into the communicator on his chest. This is because of Hebert and Corrigan that I want a word.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. If you'd have mentioned that before, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yes or no, Cap?
This.
Edwards is just looking awkward.
Come on, don't make a lady beg.
between the communicator to...
Yeah, everybody who's passing by in the corridor on Narendra Station is looking at this really weird thing going on with a woman bent over yelling into another man's communicator. Like, what the hell's going on here?
I'm happy to hear out what you have to say, Doctor.
Thank you. I'll be on your station in a... I'll be on your ship in a jiffy. She just straightens up and taps Edwards' communicator for him.
Is
Right.
Vibers on the bridge as well at the same time? Just like leaning over and like, she said thank you.
Yeah. That should be...
Yeah, there's going to be a request that as she comes on board, she is blood screened.
I'll meet her at the docking bay.
I can't say the word. Quietly sending a request to Mr. Monaco. I'm gonna need something stiff to drink at the end of the day.
Right you are! Alright, so Talliaferro just goes, well, don't just stand there, idiot. Show me where to go!
I'm already walking! Come on.
Come on, you got longer legs than me. I can walk faster than this. Get a move on.
Fine,
any case.
start jogging. He would literally start jogging at that point and try and get her to keep up.
All he gets is a scowl, but she is, like, power walking her way behind him. Any case, Vibers does meet Talliaferro and Edwards at the docking port to the ship. Oh, right, yeah, the guy with the freckles. Look, I kind of need a word with you guys because I need...
Doctor,
need your help.
I mentioned a changing of the guard.
Hey,
He's the new commander.
they made me second in charge for some reason. Come with me.
So this isn't the
Okay.
captain? Oh, come on.
Nope.
I had to go through that and I wasn't even the captain. Jeez, you guys. Can I see the captain, please?
Yes, I'll take you up. Edwards, could you drop that crate off with Minoko on your way?
I see, you're putting his fingerprints on it. Nice.
Let me make note to the manifest on this crate. Requested by Vibers to be moved to Minoko's facility.
Contains
Signed.
glasses, lots of, for drinking beer.
Bifocals for some reason.
Just completely signing that. Orders from Commander Vibers to take this crate to Mr. Monanko. Signing the transfer papers. He's not going to get caught with this. Doesn't matter, there's a record now, if there wasn't one before.
Fine.
It's fine, this one actually is supplies for the bar.
Yeah.
Either way, yes, he'll
Drop
take
the
it, but like I said,
contents
he'll make note of it and everything's done. He knows Vibers long enough to being underneath him is like,
Talliaferro watches this and seems to sneer in part disgust. Sorry, Davis, I talked over you there.
The captain will be waiting for you in the meeting room. Will you come with me?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I assure you are blood screening her.
Yeah, we're going via sick bay.
I see, the
It's
scenic
amazing
route.
how this route always goes via sick bay.
Well, you know, technically Deck 4 is on the way past to go to, the bridge, so...
Doctor, I've got a senior member of the station staff who needs checked out before we need screened before we bring him up to the captain.
Commander, and Bertram starts getting out the stuff to do the blood screening.
I assure you I've had all my shots, but if this is the shapeshifter blood screening thing, then yeah, do your business. Just don't be keeping my sample. I don't know what you're doing with it. I've heard about you, Dr. Moss.
Fine, as long as you're not a Romulan, you'll be fine.
No, it's a fake Romulan. We like the Romulans.
It's the fake Romulans we can't stand.
Okay, Bertram does the test.
And she does not appear to be a shapeshifter, so she
Okay.
passes the test.
Okay.
So, you want
he
to
did- Bertram in front of Talliaferro destroys the blood sample once the test is done and said, as requested, you can run along now.
I'd have licked
Run
it.
along. Interesting
Bertram has
choice of
basically turned
words.
round and started experimenting, turning his back to the Doctor.
Huh. I don't know what they're saying about him. He actually does have a cute butt. And she moves on. And as you're going towards the turbo lift to go to the bridge, Talliaferro is looking around and seems to be pushing on some of the walls and some of the interfaces. Huh. This is not at all like people have been saying.
What have they been saying?
Oh, the ship is so badly modified that this whole thing is held together on tape and a prayer. But, nope, that's actually not budget.
So it is true about your death wish. Come on.
Ooh. She turns to Edward. I like him. In any case, Dr. Talliaferro...
Not forever.
Dr. Talliaferro makes her way to the bridge, and you can either see her on the bridge or the conference room, whatever. She's happy with either. But
well, if she wants the senior crew, I'd say that it's in the briefing room.
Cool. But for the sake of swiftness and ease, I will keep us here on the bridge, but we can assume the actual scene takes place in the meeting room. Check you guys out with your comfy seats. Which one do I sit in? And she sits in the captain's chair, in the captain's end chair. Oh, sorry. And gets up, walks to the other end. And look, those of you who know me know that I am all personality. So this, as you can imagine, is not easy for me. But I need you guys to help back me up on something. But before I ask for your assistance with something, I really, really do gotta know. Now, Edwards here came onto your ship and became part of your crew because he was with my team originally, the civilian science team investigating all the interesting stuff that's going on here in the Shackleton Expanse. And you've got to admit, over the time that you've been looking at the stuff going on in the Shackleton Expanse, we've all been noticing a very familiar pattern to all of this, yes? So, first off, I gotta ask, what are your thoughts on what we've been finding in the Shackleton Expanse? And I mean all of you together. I noticed this new guy over here, and she points towards Lieutenant Ori. You haven't been here since the beginning, so I don't know what your thoughts are on all of this, but these guys have found more than the fair share of the data and the artifacts and the stuff that we've been focusing our efforts on uncovering more of in the science division of Narendra Station. So, what do you guys think is going on in the Expanse? I mean, Captain, let's start with you.
Personally, there's too many coincidences.
I agree.
The amount of technology that's being found in a relatively short period of time, the fact that we've gathered more on the Tillicao in the past year and a half, than we have in the entirety of the Federation's observations and knowledge of the Shackleton Expanse it's unprecedented. Something doesn't seem to be right. But at the same time, it's aiding our understanding of this region of space.
What about you, Freckles? She looks over at Vibers.
There's way too much coincidence that things are all starting to degrade at the same time. And on top of that, I'm sure most bits of archaeology don't explode and try and destroy whole star systems when you say hello. Your teams would have been dead if you were left on still doing this.
Don't remind me. Interestingly enough, where Nova's sitting, Hello,
Yeah.
Unit Hello just kind of wanders in and gives Nova the usual reports that Hello does about requests for update on requests for power and time with the computer. But as soon as Unit Hello hears the word hello, saying hello, he kind of turns expectantly. But then noticing you're not actually talking about it, so then it just kind of wanders off.
Nova would be giving Vibers a dirty look for that one, but generally staring in distrust and open distrust at that at the Dr Talliaferro.
Okay.
Just trying to get a read on what she's actually up to and why she's here.
My ship.
Interestingly enough, this is actually for Nova. Nova knows that I trust that Nova knows that Talliaferro is actually a Betazoid.
Yeah.
But she's a
Doesn't mean she trusts
Betazoid that takes Therigen in order to suppress her abilities. So she's one of those rare Betazoids that actually uses chemicals to suppress her own abilities. So make of that.
Even less.
Overall, though, Nova is getting the empathic impression, and this goes for Ori too, in a similar but different way. I mean, for Nova, obviously, it's more obvious because she's a Betazoid. I don't remember how extensive Delton's empathic abilities are when they have them.
Comparable to Betazoids, I think.
Yeah, they actually overpower everyone else and make them feel really good. That's what the Delton's empathic thing is, that they naturally project outwards.
Interesting.
And
So
they encourage the positive emotion.
So whereas Betazoids are used to using their ability to collect information from their environment, Deltons project. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
But then they feed off of the positive energy that comes back to them.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it, Nova?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Feed the environment with goodness.
But yeah, both Ori and Nova are getting the empathic sense from Talliaferro that she's trying to mask the sense. She's trying to mask her desperation. It's not desperation to the point of life or death, but something has driven her to come here almost as a last resort kind of thing, is the impression you get. And, this is the woman whose force of personality pretty much created the Narendra Station Shackleton Expanse project, so make of that what you will. What about the rest of you? What do you think about all of this that's been going on? With all the stuff you've been finding?
I think someone tripped something and it signaled every other installation in the sector. Like in Bacchus 3.
Well, I think we potentially tripped it.
There was something before then that was still going on, else that's why we got pulled to Bacchus. But Bacchus did send out signals. It's a chain reaction. Something either was left to be woken or something was accidentally woken, and everything is just bouncing off each other and waking up. At least that's my personal interpretation of everything that's gone on. It's just been a snowball effect. And without the caretakers to manage most of this installations, equipment and whatnot, they're just firing off automatically, whether damaged or in full condition.
I'm paranoid, so I think somebody is ahead of us, and they've been doing this deliberately. I just don't think a civilization that has got these millennium-spanning technology would have it randomly or accidentally go catastrophically wrong like this.
That's why I think someone's started this, whether by accident or intention.
Well, there was the other Federation ship.
It just the Telecal strike me as a race that had forethought into the future, especially with some of the things we have seen. The idea of things are either put to sleep or stasis or some sort of power down, ready for someone with the trusted knowledge or someone with enough experience in preferably, I imagine, part of their race or part of one of the ones they've seeded to come back and reawaken them of some sort. It's just got that kind of feel to me.
What was the last message that we received? It was Tilakau Helpers, wasn't it, that came through?
Yes. Whether they're asking for the Tilakau or it was a statement that the Tilakau, that was the thing we couldn't work out.
What about you, Bluey? Talliaferro looks over at Nova. Because I hear you've been tinkering with Tilakau tech.
I have indeed. My theory is that they're still out there somewhere.
Okay. So the general impression I'm getting of you guys, continues Dr. Talliaferro, is just like me, you guys are pretty sure there's more to this and that we should investigate more in order to find out, right? The more we can find out, the better informed we'll be about what's coming around the corner.
You just got told to shelve your personal pet project, didn't you?
Well, not in so many words, no. You see, look, we may have identified a new place that suggests some more to this story. The only problem is, it's kind of close to the Romulan border. And as such, your admiral and the Klingon general, what's his name, think it's too risky. I say science is risk, and besides, you've got this thing with all of its bells and whistles and 6 warp cores and the bits that don't actually fall off. Or whatever else it is
It's
that
still a
you guys
great
have got.
risk, and relations with the Romulans are sketchy at best. The last time we were near the Romulan border, there was nearly a diplomatic incident.
Knowing them, if we've even looked to find something, they'll probably be watching and then try to claim it for themselves, sparking an incident. At least that's what we tried to do last time we ran into them.
Irrespective of that, you guys think, like me, that there is definitely something to this that we should continue to investigate. The system I'm talking about is the closest so far of the planets we've found that is close to the edge of the Romulan neutral zone. But it's not the other side of the Romulan neutral zone. It's still technically an unclaimed space. So what I'm asking is, if I present our findings so far to the Admiral, the General, and all the assembled parties here on Narendra Station in a nice big presentation, I promise maybe flashy lights and a slideshow presentation. Maybe I'll slip in some guy in a bikini or something just to lighten the mood or something. I don't know. But basically, if we do this, give this presentation on our findings, why we think it's worth pursuing, why we think this is all linked, do I have your support in trying to persuade people to do this next mission, investigate this new place?
My initial response was, why not the Bellerophon? Because the Bellerophon is a science-based vessel, whereas we are quite heavily combat-related. If a warship of the Federation skirts along the edge of the neutral zone, it will cause more of an incident than a science mission.
Yeah, okay, but, there are 2 points on that. One, you guys, for some reason, seem to keep attracting this kind of stuff to you. You've got telecom tech right here on your ship. You've got people, and she gestures again to Nova, who have made direct contact, potentially, with someone or something to do with what's going on. And let's not forget important point number 2, that the captain of the Bellerophon's an asshole.
How dare you? Captain Blackford is a respectable officer. Trying not to laugh.
Have you
I've
met
raised
him?
my eyebrow and looking at her, at Andrews. I was like,
His first officer is a phenomenal conversationalist. How long
He
was
is
it,
a
Dr. Bertram,
Vulcan
you spent with
who's
him?
extraordinarily boring.
Was it 4.5 hours, Dr. Bertram? You were talking about Moss?
Flying chess, Captain.
Captain, those diplomacy lessons you've been taking are doing really well.
Edwards just starts looking at the jug of water at the centre of the table, funny. I was like, trying to see if Andrews has actually got it in a glass.
Is there something about it? Go on.
Is there any chance that we could get somebody like Captain Akul to accompany us to soften or to have, just to have a gentler diplomatic impact on this situation?
The Klingon? Aren't they, interested in nothing but drinking and fighting?
You should probably hang out with Captain Akul.
Captain's a different stripe.
Is that what you were about to say, Iceman? She looks over at Thazanan.
Yes, he broke the mold. Well, they broke the mold when they made him.
Huh. So you reckon this Akul guy would be up for this kind of thing? I mean, hell, honest opinion. If this Akul fellow was given the chance, you reckon he'd go for it?
Think so.
I think so.
Well, that's great! That means we have 2 captains and crews. 1 Federation, 1 Klingon. That's perfect! How do we... how do we do this? Do we have to, I don't know, bite him first or something? Do I have to walk up to him in the street and stab him and then ask him? I don't know. What's the protocol with Klingons?
Did she seem at all suspicious when she got excited about having 2 crews? 'Cause that just jumps out as being suspicious on the Romulan border.
So, are you asking if Talliaferro was suspicious about them suggesting that there should be a second ship to go along with this?
No, if she jumped at it far too eagerly.
Nova and Ori, both of them get the sense that, she got suddenly excited. If there's a chance of having 2.
Was it more the chance of it might add weight to the argument that it's worth
Yes.
investigating, rather than it's more likely to cause a diplomatic issue?
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. In that case, yes, Talliaferro definitely seems more excited about the prospect of giving more weight to her argument. Come on, you're curious. I know you're curious. All of you are curious, especially that one. She points at Edwards. This is. We just need to know, And I can tell you're the same. You're explorers, right? And we've been coming across far too much of this weird stuff, like you say, to be a coincidence. Something's going on, and there are weird emissions and signals coming from out of this system. Just help me convince them that it's a good idea. Come on.
Look,
You want to know too.
The captain.
I'm willing to take part in the activity, but the final decision is that of the Admiral and the General. If they believe it is too much of a risk, we need to respect that. We cannot afford a diplomatic incident with the Romulans as tensions in the Alpha Quadrant and the Alpha and Beta quadrants are getting very high, especially with the Dominion threat.
Oh, what, the sludge guys who can appear to be anybody? Yeah. They're light years away. Who cares about that? This is here, now.
But if
Close.
the entire Federation gets dragged into a war with the Dominion, we really do not want to antagonize the Romulans and have a war on two fronts.
So let's get there first.
As much as it was made out that the war between the Federation and the Klingons went okay, both sides are not at the military strength they were beforehand.
And I'm sure seeing both a Klingon and a Starfleet ship will make Romulans think twice. But do I at least have your help with this? What I'm asking.
Are there any objections from the rest of the crew?
No? Okay.
I think Nova had half raise a hand.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Bluey, what's up?
I'm just objecting.
For the sake of... Oh, right, you're her. Didn't you do something funny with the ship's engines at one point? I heard you got lost in space or something.
We don't talk about that.
Okay, sure, whatever. In any case, all I need you to do...
The objection is noted. As I said, we are willing to, as a crew, we are willing to at least support the idea of further investigation is required.
Okay.
As I said, though, if the Admiral and the General do decide that they believe it is not the best course of action, we need to respect that decision.
Oh, you guys are such pussies. Okay, fine. But if you quail just because you hear those two words, permission denied, and that's the end of your fight for this, I swear I will hunt you all down in your sleep and, I don't know, smother you. Until you pass out. Because I can't use you if you're dead. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give it a chance. Johnny, I might need your help with the presentation, though, because it might look better if at least one of us has a Starfleet uniform on to at least give the impression that Starfleet folks are on board with this, too.
With permission, Captain?
All he needs to do is read from our data.
Permission granted.
Okay. She puts her hands together, prayer-like. Thank you. I'll be sending the word out. We'll be doing a presentation in the Narendra Auditorium, probably in a couple of hours' time. So, thank you again. Yeah. And she starts moving towards the turbo lift. Yeah, I need someone to show me where to go.
Richard, one doctor to beam to the station bar, please.
Huh? What do you mean? She gets beamed off.
Thoughts? Anyone?
To Nova, I know you're purely going on your empathic abilities. What state of mind do you think the doctor was in?
Desperation.
Right, that doesn't bode well. Captain, in this one of the various things that have come up before was some sort of conspiracy involving people of compromised or otherwise stressed or broken down mental natures being apparently touched or influenced by some sort of unknown force. I'll bring up Stoker and her son, to the point where Stoker was apparently in a Ravens, as it reached a critical period, literally started producing coordinates.
Lieutenant Ori
Not
at
a
this
psycho-
point is sitting there going, "This wasn't in any of the briefings I saw about the Navis."
I know. His eyes are open wide.
At which
Um,
point, it's on your pad, chapters 1 through 50.
You sure had
I'm
to.
just saying that Lieutenant Edwards, would you know Dr. Talliaferro better than the rest of us? Would you say she was in more of a heightened, excitable, or similarly less calm state than she would normally be in, say, in a critical point of a scientific project of hers?
To be blunt, she's the drowning man that's just had a life preserve thrown to them. She's
Yeah.
generally running off. I'd say she's generally running off the high of she's found some straws to grasp, but now she's out throwing all her last throw of the dice on us.
I would agree. She was giving off extreme amounts of desperation and need to be validated by us.
But I also take on board Dr. Bertram's statements is that Admiral Stoker was very, very good at hiding her emotions, and in the last few weeks of her being on board was showing extreme desperation. I don't like this.
I don't think.
Symptoms.
Oh, sorry.
One of the symptoms of Stoker's desperation towards the end, when her veneer finally started cracking, was a desperation to get to a system that ended up having a similar, I believe, Tilical, or presumably Tilical related issue, an anomaly in it. I'm just wary that is it feasible that in her desperation Dr. Talliaferro might have started going down a similar path?
I don't think she's going off quite that much, because as much as she gets excitable, she is a feet on the ground type person. She's not going to go off from the station. She won't throw away her responsibility, thus why she cornered me.
Well, that is what Stoker gave off when she first came on board. There was no sign of desperation. She was very cold and calculated. This is almost like an indoctrination. It's a slow, subtle effect of change. Because it was months before we started to see anything major happening with Stoker.
If Dr. Talliaferro doesn't have Stoker's control, it might be a thing of we're seeing signs a lot earlier than anyone would have with Stoker, because she's not as controlled. Conversely, that might also mean that she's not actually, if I, assuming that I'm onto something, and I could be completely on the wrong track, but if something might be influencing her as it was Stoker and other people, it may be we're seeing signs way before anyone would have seen signs with Stoker, and Talliaferro might just be on like the very initial bit of being affected.
I said I have seen her excited before, but then I've never seen her where she's had nearly all avenues to proceed closed on her.
Is she normally so dismissive of? I do understand she is a scientist, one of those types who is consumed by her work and basically dedicates to it at the expense of pretty much everything else in her life.
So was Stoker.
And there is a hint of not quite hidden enough disdain in Bertram's voice when he says that. And he continues, is she really the sort of person so consumed by it that she would normally just disregard the possibility of being the spark that might cause a war between powers in the galaxy?
She is generally dismissive of the Federation and what we do. To be honest, but She's not stupid. That's why she's only involved into opening or getting the door open. She's not. That's why she's not going with herself. She's relying on us to take the decisions.
Again, this goes back to Stoker. Stoker was exactly the same. She was a dedicated Starfleet admiral.
I think us getting kicked out.
Take this with a pinch of salt.
One last thing, if I may say on this. I think losing the station scared her. So I helped her pack up and saw her when we left, and she was a bit broken to the point where she actually showed some emotion that she hides so tightly around everyone else. I think she's afraid that if she gets denied, if things get denied again, a lot of this is going to be for naught. She knows something's going on from all the reports she's been getting. And she knows it's something big, and we're the only ones that can affect it.
Navis, you were going to say something.
Sorry, yep.
I think we should also consider if we do not assist, she might just go outside of regular channels. I'd hesitate to bring up Orion's, but I think she will find some way of doing it. And perhaps it's better that we be the ones that do it, purely so that we can contain the fallout better.
Okay, let's play along. As I said, take it with a pinch of salt, because I don't fully trust the situation, because we've been in exactly the same situation and we got majorly burnt as a crew because of it.
Do we want to ask for her to be on board, or do we want to make sure she isn't?
Isn't.
I concur. The easiest way to keep her, if you're unsure of her current mental state, is to keep her as far away from possible. I don't personally think she's going to be asking to come along, but it is the wise thing to do.
I like the idea of having a call along with us, because it shows a willingness to improve the understanding of the situation from the Federation and the Klingon side.
Mm-hmm.
I trust a call more than I trust Talliaferro. I trust a call more than I trust some of the captains in Starfleet, so... Okay.
All right, then.
Let's go with that. We will play that we want to go forwards on it, but we have reservations.
Right, very good. Okay. Anybody else got anything else they think they want to add? Then we will proceed forwards. So, I'm assuming that your next port of call will be to actually talk to Captain Nicole about all of this. Or are you just going to go along with the presentation first?
I think we go and bring Nicole up to speed on the situation, and see whether he'd be willing.
I'd also like to go talk to an Orion contact. No, this is actually mission related, not. I want an extra crate of not quite legal alcohol for the bar. So
sounds like both.
That already got delivered.
Bertram's not going on to Narendra Station, but there is something he'd like to do. But when you get round to me.
Alrighty, well, the first thing we're going to do then is we are going to take ourselves off to Narendra Station.
Sorry, I just had a thought of what Bertram could be doing while everyone else is on ship. Just ringing up Jenny and I got a couple of hours free to do some research.
Nope, it's definitely not that.
The ongoing saga.
Yeah. The ongoing saga where Bertram really doesn't get these jokes people make. No, to be honest, Bertram will actually see if he can make some inquiries on the medical channels to see if there's been any unusual or sort of like increase in reports of mental issues, emotional issues, or anything like that in Federation, especially in kind of like, relatively speaking, this area of space.
Okay. So Bertram's not going, but we are going to have most. I've already gotten over. I don't know what I'm doing with that. But this is going to be Lieutenant Orai's introduction to Captain Akul. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to take a brief walk to Narendra Station, where we go to the usual meeting place for frivolities, Maxim's place. So as per usual.
Who's this? Who's this?
Where? What are we looking at?
Can you not see that?
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. Who's this?
You're a generic
there's the
science
old
officer.
There's old Edwards. Oh, everyone's disappeared. Oh, that's because I clicked on old Edwards.
Yeah. Old Edwards and old Andrews are here.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, they're down there. I forgot about that. Doink.
Changelings.
Changelings! Yes, let's not have Jenny and Jean, Eric. They'll only cause trouble.
They're in counselling again.
But okay, so as per usual, the mix of Federation and Klingons, especially Starfleet and Klingons, is still a bit edgy. They keep to themselves, they keep separate, but relations are getting a little bit easier, especially for the most part, since primarily the only real Klingons on the station now are pretty much either the engineers and the Klingons who keep to their levels on Narendra Station. I mean, the Ractigino Cafe guy down the street on the Galleria has always been welcoming to everybody, so you know that guy's business as usual. So yes, the crew of Akul's ship are found at their usual table, and you guys invite Akul over for a drink. Now, of course, the first thing that happens is that as soon as Captain Akul sits down, he leans over and goes, "Ah, you!" looking at Lieutenant Orai. "You're new, aren't you? I don't recognize your face."
I don't recognize your face.
"Ha! Excellent. He one of yours?" He nods over to Captain Andrews.
He is, Captain. This is Lieutenant Orai, our new science officer. Lieutenant Orai, this is Captain Akul, captain of the blah 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 ship.
The Mapui was the ship.
Mapui, that's the badge.
Captain Akul. Now, Orai, with his empathic sense, is all of a sudden getting a very distinct flash of, shall we say, female interest, which is coming very strongly from the female crew members of Akul's senior staff, who are over on the other table, and they're both just sat there, leaning forward, looking at Orai intently.
Thirsty Klingons.
Akul looks back.
He'll nod and do a little wave and smile towards them.
One of the Klingon doctor of the ship, she starts actually putting like a bone as a toothpick, but she's using it very suggestively at this point.
He waggles his eyebrows.
Akul looks between Orai and the women. "Oh, I see. You're a Deltan. Oh, Kahless' breath. Oh well." He turns around.
Don't worry, Captain. There's plenty of meat for everyone.
"Well, it's not you. Well, it's actually you I'm more concerned about, actually." 1, is going to be more than you can handle. Trust me. 2, I really want your captain to have you back in one piece. You understand?
Yeah.
Lieutenant,
Gratitude.
trust me when I say they will break you.
Shall we move on from the etiquettes of Klingon mating, Captain?
Etiquette? That was etiquette? You have much to learn about Klingon mating rituals, which I'm not going to get into right now because I can... Well, he turns back around again. Practically smell it from here, but anyway, continue. You wanted to see me.
We have a proposition for you, Captain.
I'm interested.
We'll basically then lay out what the discussion that we had with Talliaferro. So
I see.
asking what his opinion is of whether he thinks there's something going off in the area as well.
Are you going to mention your suspicions?
Which ones?
Well, mostly the ones that infer that it's a repeat of Stoker.
Yes. Because I say, I trust a call.
I did have to fill in for your missing captain that one time because of all the shenanigans that went on around Stoker, so it's a valid point. However, I will confess that one of the things, and if you repeat this, I swear I will snap all of your necks.
Combat just suddenly gets put on the table.
Thank you. I will confess that one of the things I missed most whilst I was seconded to the task forces taking on the Federation and making runs on the Federation outposts was... Well, I missed the exploration. I missed this, the Expanse. Diving off into new frontiers. As much as I can respect your suspicion, and I will confess, I can see the legitimacy of it. I am more than a little curious myself as to what might this all be about. You seem to have all the luck, blast you, finding all these interesting places and all this strange coincidences. But we are trusted companions and practically blood brothers or blood sisters or whatever. We have an honor bond, even if Lieutenant Ori is new to the family, as it were. He is a member of the crew of the Navis, and therefore I trust him implicitly. If you think this is something to be suspicious of, I will back you. If you think this is something worth investigating, I will second such an opinion. If you need me to add any weight to anything you need me to say, then I will do so without hesitation. If you think that it's worth the Mupui and its crew accompanying you on such a mission, then I will be very much for it. Is that sufficient, Captain?
I think so, Captain. Appreciate the offer on that.
What is it that you think is actually occurring here, may I ask? The truth, now. Your honest opinions, not this whatever you sold this Talliaferro on. You've made actual contact with alien beings, potentially from across subspace dimensions. What is it you think is actually going on here? Are we in danger? Is this a new enemy? Or is this all
can't rule
one
out
big
that
cosmic
possibility.
coincidence?
For me personally, I cannot rule that out.
I
A
think
good
the
warrior
opposite-
knows when to be wary. Sorry I interrupted you there, Sean.
Nova would say she thinks the opposite. She
Oh.
thinks it was a highly technically advanced race that found themselves in trouble. The very sort of thing that Starfleet was put in place to do something about, to aid and assist.
Ah, yes. Your vaunted principles.
at every point that we've managed to make contact, there's been an, I suppose, overriding sense of help.
If that's what you think is going on, Lieutenant Nova, then I can see the validity of it. You, after all, have senses way beyond mine. Sometimes I wish I knew what my crew were thinking or feeling at any one time. Maybe I could get them to do some actual work. Nevertheless...
probably hears more blood wine.
Yes, suddenly, Ractagino and 3 blood wines underwater suddenly appear on the table. 3 blood wines, all for me? Kano, you shouldn't have!
Wave carry on.
Nova casually reaching out for the Ractagino.
Yeah, slowly making sure nobody lays claim to it first. Maybe licks the rim to make sure it's now hers. Right. We will keep a wary eye on what's going on, but with the crew of the Mapui stand ready to assist you in whatever means we may.
Thank you, Captain.
Meanwhile, what's going on with Edwards and Vibers over there on the bar?
So, Raina, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Oh, God. What is it you think I've done now? Says Raina, the obviously not shifty at all Orion.
Well, my captain's got many questions from you. You know, we asked for those spare parts from you recently. Apparently, they were completely dodgy, completely unsuitable, so might have to get another crate.
Edwards is just looking at Vibers at this point. It's like,
but
Vibers,
the actual reason I'm here for you.
Are you wearing a wire right now?
No. They just promoted me, and he wants me to. He's trying to make me up my rank. Doesn't he?
Oh,
he know
God, I'm so sorry.
Get away with stuff? I know.
Raina leans over to
Apparently it
Vibers.
gets worse as time goes on.
Raina leans over to Vibers. I get it. That's what this meeting is about, right? You want a quick exit? Meet me.
he lives out the rest of his days as a smuggler with the Orions.
Akul, in response to that, Sean, is he's always eager to meet and talk with Hello. The robot! He gets all excited over it.
Raina, the question.
Meanwhile, back to Raina and Edwards and Vibers, yes.
The bit I actually need to talk to you about, I don't need the exit this time, but thanks for the offer. I need you to. I'd like to pay you to not take a job.
Huh?
Right. The chief scientist on this station.
Oh, the bitch! Gotcha.
Yeah. She's been more weird and annoying than usual, and she insulted my ship.
Oh, gods, I'm so sorry for her.
I know.
That's just how she is.
In response for this, I'd like to pay you for 2 potential jobs I need you to do. One, if she asks any Orion, if she asks your crew up to go off into an expanse looking for things, say no.
Whoa.
And the second one, if she hires somebody else to do it, I'd like you to let me know.
I see. You're in on the job and you don't want her to go for it. Nice. See what I can't do. And he points to Edwards. What about this guy? I mean, is he in this too? Or... He's got that look on his face, that I'm sure I should be reporting this to somebody face.
I have a solution to that problem.
Is it under your seat?
I'd love it if Ibis just pulled a phaser rifle out now and just shot Edwards.
Nope.
Yes, in front of everyone.
Kano, not with witnesses.
You know that's Romulan ale you're drinking, right?
Huh, look at that. Drinks just seem to materialize in front of people when you're around, Kano.
I have no idea why that could possibly happen. It must be a side effect of the diplomatic training.
Holy crap! Vibers is evil, just blackmailing him with illegal just saying that you're drinking illegal narcotics.
Listen, man, I've only just gotten out of the slammer for the last time you and I did it. I mean, the last time that something happened to me. So...
I have no idea what you could possibly be referring to.
No, I'm sure you don't.
How was Riser?
Sunny, thanks for all of the 5 minutes I was there before they... And he looks over at Edwards. Didn't find anything incriminating at all. Look, listen. This has been squared with the other guys, right? That just in case somebody, like, you know, the, excuse me a second while I try and find the name. What was the name of, Splinter Cell Fire? No, it was Adrift, it was... Look, I'm not going to be crossing the Tarn family, am I? Because that's a bit further than my pay packet will let me go.
This is why all I'm asking is you don't take the job if she offers it to you, and you let me know if somebody else takes it. That's as far as I want you to go.
Gotcha. I can never say no to you, Kano. I don't know why I do this.
We're keeping an eye out for another... You know when there was the Admiral who went a bit crazy a few years... about a year back?
The one that I know nothing about because it's classified and I couldn't possibly know about it?
That's the one, yes.
Am I sorry, just incidentally, am I catching somebody trying to say something but I keep talking over them? No?
No.
No? Okay, cool. Sorry. I just heard mic stutterances, as in stutterances from a microphone, and I was wondering if someone was trying to talk and I was cutting them off every time. Sorry if I was, but if it's not the case, awesome. Cool. Okay. I will keep an eye out. I am going to drink this, and then I am going to leave. Kid, and he leans over Edwards. Be careful around this guy. You might end up being roped into something you didn't intend to be.
Well, I'm partly glad that he's been promoted.
You've got a great career in front of you. I see you as a brilliant learning stone for the diplomatic corps.
Okay,
You mean
so...
as long as I stop noticing the modifications you're making around the cargo hold?
Nothing in the cargo hold. I don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
You just talked to Bravo about the cargo hold. I've nothing to do with that one.
That's why you keep trying to get everyone to stay away from the port nacelle. That's where you've been stashing things.
Anyway...
There's nothing in the port nacelle.
Yeah, there is nothing in the port nacelle. It's just an empty space, but it still generates a warp field.
Do not look at the port nacelle.
Just don't go in there.
It's a good thing we didn't go for that captain's yacht.
Just go. The captain's yacht's just full of booze. And here's the oh my god!
What is the captain's yacht?
I'm just waiting for when we
where
like.
the hangar bay is.
You know, there's a reason one of the torpedo tubes been like it's been out of commission for like coming on 6 months. It's just where he's been stealing his snacks.
Andrews would never allow the torpedo tubes to be blocked. Never. Even if every other system on the ship's failing, the torpedo tubes are still working.
Oh, phaser bank, he's never used them.
Yeah, the phaser array. We don't know what that is. It just doesn't work anymore.
The array's perfectly fine. It's just one of the storage batteries not there anymore.
Meanwhile,
the Navis is opening fire. Phasers or torpedoes. Rectigino.
Jan, were you trying to say something then?
was going to say, did we have experimental phasers or something?
We do.
We do.
Right. So panning away from this particular scene, you've got what you wanted essentially, and Akul is on board, and you've also set up back-channel monitoring, it seems, in case any of your suspicions amount to something. Akul, of course, is more than happy to accept Nova's invitation to meet and talk with Hello. Akul is always interested in talking with Hello, and always interested in looking at the actual data core itself that you managed to podge together from 3 different Tilical cores. So Akul is extraordinarily fascinated with all that. Of course, every time he tries to discern how Nova managed to put all this together, he starts off with a look of, oh, you've done that, and then you've done this, and oh, I see, and then it starts to, his brow furrows with consternation of, how the hell does that work? That shouldn't even work. Did you manage to...
Perhaps you'd like to go and see the starboard nacelle.
I'm not sure I do now.
In
any
any
case,
contraband around it.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't catch whoever else that was as well. Is that right?
Nova will just give him the encouragement of he'll find it eventually.
I give up. One of these days, I'll figure it out. Then I'll have my own artificial intelligence made by the alien technology on my ship. I probably won't be insane enough to plug it into anything, but it'll be there, working.
That's why it's got hands. That plugs itself in.
Pretty sure that Chancellor Gowron would have my head if I tried, but nevertheless, if you'll excuse me...
There was an awful lot of conversation to get it allowed on the ship.
I'm sure. Nevertheless, I must now go and prepare my crew to this momentous occasion we are about to engage in. Lieutenants, captains, commanders, I take my leave. Chalasper, stop drooling over the Delton. We got work to do. And so, unless there's anything else in particular anybody else wants to get done after all of that, then we will move on. Now, Gareth was saying that Bertram was going to conduct some investigations as to whether or not there were any instances of people showing unusual behavior or any of the various symptoms that we associate with what happened with Admiral Stoker when she was under the influence of whatever it was she was under the influence of.
Yeah.
Thankfully...
Also bearing in mind when we investigated that Stoker the first time, we did uncover evidence that psychiatric patents for various places were going missing.
Now, thankfully, ever since that, and I do believe Admiral Hebert was let in on the entire situation with Admiral Stoker. Yeah. Am I misremembering that, or was that correct?
Yeah, we gave her the full information.
As such, anyone and everyone on the station who has been treated or is being treated for any kind of mental illness or anything of that variety has been kept on station and monitored. And so far everything seems okay. There's nothing that seems to suggest anything out of the ordinary. So all the what's the word I'm looking for? Well, once again, linguistic aphasia is just moving. The things you put in place, the things that you suggested putting in place in order to try and make sure that these kind of things didn't happen. Precautions, thank you, are still in place and appear to be working fine. So there's nothing that suggests anything's going on Narendra Station that suggests an epidemic of people being potentially taken over by this influence, whatever it was.
Did anything come of the Starbase that Stoker's son had supposedly been taken to? Or was that classified and we've never been told that information?
was definitely classified, but Captain Ducasse, your former captain, did hint that not long after she disclosed to the occupants of that black ship that you came across, and the people who suggested they were part of Starfleet intelligence who were occupying it. Not long after she let loose that she knew where that station was, Ducasse did kind of mention that when folks went looking for it, they found that it was gone, empty. Looked like no one had been there for some time, so that was what came of that. If anything else happened to it, then Ducasse never mentioned it, and of course it's all been kept very quiet. Any other questions in that regard, or comments?
Where is Stoker now, actually, as well? Is she undergoing further psychiatric evaluation?
Well, last you heard, she
Or
was
again, she just
in prison, so... What's happened to her since? Yeah, pending psychiatric evaluation and all that, but she's still incarcerated for what she did.
We know that there's no sort of psionic...
Go on, Mike, finish your sentence.
I was wondering, do we know if this situations have been causing sort of higher psionic...
You're breaking up a bit for me, so I always lose the last word of your sentence, but if I get the gist of what you're saying, has anyone tested for any kind of psionic influence or interference that's causing this?
Correct.
Right. Well, the closest would be the Betazoids on the Navis crew, so Nova and the Bravos predominantly, who, let me think, all the way back, they were able to detect her mental state, but Stoker was very good at masking it. But, you know, Nova had been practicing with Stoker to try and break through those mental defenses, so... There was no evidence of some kind of psionic field or anything like that, at least not as far as it was understood. But, at the same time, everything that this crew has been coming across so far in regards to this ancient race who have left all this tech behind suggests that they have technology way in advance of current scientific understanding, so who's to say for sure?
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Okay. So, we are going to move proceedings. In a couple of hours' time, a general call is made where all senior crew and staff of the ships attached to Narendra Station are summoned to the auditorium. So let's change the ambience and let's move you to the auditorium. Hopefully I have everybody there. So the Narendra Station auditorium is near the top of the station itself and very close to the offices of the senior members of the Narendra Station. So the two people who are in charge of Narendra Station, for Mike's benefit, and for those who don't remember, is Admiral Hebert is in charge of the Starfleet contingent, and General Kargan is in charge of the Klingon contingent. As such, because all the senior officers and crew of the attached ships are present, we've got Captain Akul and the senior crew of the Mapui, and as well as most of your supporting and background cast of the Navis are assembled here. You've got Captain Corbett, his first officer, Commander Rozek, and some assembled members, generic members of his crew, of the Galaxy-class Venture. And of course, sitting as far away as he can manage from everybody else is the ever so nice and cheerful and diplomatic Captain Blackford, who is in charge of the Intrepid class ship, the Bellerophon, along with
Commander
his first
Vibus.
officer, Commander Tonic.
Remind me after this meeting that I need to have a chat with Captain Blackford, that Admiral Ducasse has offered him to come visit her new place of work in the near future, should he ever have a free time.
I'll remind you, sir.
So, the auditorium, as you can see, is a big circular space with seating enough for pretty much everybody. Folks are kind of clustered in next to whoever they tend to sit by, mostly by departments, with the senior staff usually at the closest ones to the bottom. Assembled at this particular gathering is not only Admiral Hebert and General Kargan, but also Dr. Talliaferro, who has brought along a couple of her civilian scientists as well. Talliaferro also beckons Edwards to join her and her group at the front, because Edwards is going to be
wrong person.
Vipers, volunteers. I want to be in the front.
No, not science. Wrong words in that.
Damn, I always got away with it.
So, yeah. Everyone will notice that Jenny Eric and Jean Eric are sat the complete opposite end of from Dr. Bertram. Entirely
say
unintentional, I assure you.
Well, she is, because Jenny's down here, and human engineer is over here, you know.
Jean's by there.
Ah, Jean's over there, yeah. But it was the human one that looked similar, sorry.
Yes, there was. But now that we've settled on that's what Jenny and that's what Jean look like.
This guy over here, this is John Eric.
Ah, yes, I kept those ones because, you know. There's John, there's Jack. There's Bob Eric. Because, anyways, yes. Nova seems to have insinuated her way into the crew of the Mapui, but they're more than happy to entertain her.
Do I have to kind of do like a sort of like an owner with its dog and just point at sort of like the seat, you know, that's in the front row of the Navis?
Sure it's fine, Captain. I'll make sure she gets back to the ship. In one
Just
piece.
lay out some dog treats.
No, it'd be broken devices for her to fix and take apart.
Ooh, piece of technology. Ooh, piece of technology.
And a bag of Tilican resistors to do the breadcrumb trail. It'll be fine.
Right, since when did you guys get your hands on Tilican resistors? Anyway, sorry if I talked over somebody there.
But Nova didn't know that either, so we'll be fine.
At this point, I just want to say the port nacelle.
It just generates.
Now, usually when you've had briefings in the auditorium before, the central pillar, as it were, the central platform is usually where those who talk get up so that they can be seen and be heard. There's also usually a hologram emitter in it. And in this case, the hologram emitter is being used to display different data. A series of static images are being displayed along with live video feeds, which apparently are from deep space probes, and several lines of data that also screeds past occasionally. So there are numerous displays to look at that the science guys have apparently put together. Admiral Hebert and General Kargan remain standing where they are as Dr. Talliaferro has seeming control of the lights and the lights and the ambience, and taps the small badge that she has in order to activate the communicator that allows her voice to carry. So, thank you all for coming. This is basically our findings. The civilian science wing, in accordance with our allies here on Narendra Station, in both Starfleet and our friends of the Klingon Empire. We have been making numerous important scientific discoveries since the start of our time here in the Expanse. And those scientific discoveries have becoming more and more prevalent the further into the Expanse we have been going. And they seem to suggest a pattern, the exact nature of which I will ask Lieutenant Junior Grade Edwards to read out for you as I bring up the displays on the screens behind me. Lieutenant, if you will. So basically, Alex, present the data that I gave you.
Okay. On our most recent mission to planet Organ 3, where we rescued the survivors of the Tesla, we found ancient machinery that produced an electromagnetic field similar to those found on other planets and locations within the Shackleton Expanse. The alien technology found on the same planet is sufficiently similar found on other planets, including 2 M-class planets orbiting the star HIP 73513, the mines under Seku 6, and recently the ruins have discovered under Alpha Turiu 2.
Correct.
Dr Talliaferro and his staff are confident that they are the product of one ancient race. The Navis themselves have come across a alien species that have identified themselves as the Tilakal, though based off their cultural displays and general how their society works. It was based around the principles. I do believe they have just taken the mantle of said name. There is something older that they were used to following the instructions of, but after so long being isolated, it began to represent an ancient phenomena back from the 20th century called I do believe it was the cargo cult, where a primitive civilization saw one race ordering supplies that were dropped from air, and this presumed to carry out these rituals thinking it was gifts from God. The same applies to this particular race, at least from my observations of their culture, their religion, and other customs. Within the last week, deep space probes by Talliaferro's science teams entered the Candidate 3 system and detected something unusual. There are 3 M-class planets in proximity to each other, in addition to 4 other planets of varying uninhabitable classes. 2 of these M-class planets, based on preliminary atmospheric scans and surface samples, clearly do not originate in this system. The science team has not yet formed a hypothesis to the planets could be as to how the planets could be in this system. Though, from personal experience and dealing with Tilakal technologies, it's not unheard of for some of the facilities and technology we've seen to literally be the size of planets. There were now this is a checking with Matt. Was it Bacchus 3 where it was literally carved out of a moon?
Yep.
And then things grew on it. Yeah. In Bacchus 3, one of the said installations was literally carved from some sort of moon, not necessarily originating in that system, that happened to have life grow on it. So the amount of effort to take and to move and carve and fully use something like that is beyond anything we've ever seen. So the idea that the Tilakal could have moved a planet from one system to another is not above impossibility. the understanding of which is currently beyond us. Alright. The third M-class planet in this system is a massive world, twice the size of Earth. It's also covered in ruins of stone and metal, both of exotic and also unknown materials. Initial scans of the planet's surface are a bit hit and miss due to significant levels of the tetryon particles and electromagnetic disturbance wreathing the planet. Talliaferro's team believes the metal content of the ruins match that found on other worlds in the Expanse, as previously mentioned.
Thank you, Lieutenant. As everyone can see, from the readings we've taken, from the records displayed from the sensor logs of the ships, predominantly the USS Navis, that have come across these phenomena, there is definitely evidence of an ancient, technologically advanced species that once called the Expanse their home, that they roamed far and wide using technology beyond that of most any living species. Where that species went, why there are only ruins and discarded artifacts in their wake are a mystery that we have to keep investigating. As such, my team and I, along with others amongst the USS Navis and the IKS Mapui, would like to put forward that investigation into the Candidate 3 system must be conducted immediately. That is all. Thank you. And with that, the presentation ends, and there is a great deal of murmuring. And the official nature of the presentation now kind of breaks up as folks are now moving amongst each other, kind of discussing their own ideas and thoughts as to what it is. Kargan and Hebert, of course, get together and start talking about this. And Akul jumps up to interject himself into the conversation. Kargan doesn't seem... Yeah, go on.
Andrews is going to do the same, because that's not exactly what we agreed upon. Not an immediate, so...
So in any case, yes, Kargan is looking a bit like looking at Akul like, you agreed to this kind of thing? And Akul seems to be pleading his case, as it were, in terribly Klingon fashion, but nonetheless pleading his case. Captain Corbett and Commander Razik of the Venture come over to you guys. And Captain Corbett addresses you guys first. That was all terribly interesting stuff. You really think that there's evidence, continuing evidence, of some kind of ancient alien race? And they're active now?
Well, I'm over here at the minute, so...
So anybody else who wants to field it, yeah. Bertram, Thazanan, Vibers. Alright.
Actually, no. I'll just be just a bit behind it. Andrew's not going to interject myself unless requested. I've done my bit as a civilian now. I'm not lining up as per my duty.
In any case, over at the main discussion, which you guys can feel free to interject yourselves as well. Don't feel confined to just remaining in your seats. Hebert is there, and Talliaferro is also pleading her case. And as Andrews comes over, Hebert looks over at her. You honestly think that this is a good idea, Captain?
I have my reservations, Admiral, but at the same time, I do believe that there is something amiss within this area. And we potentially could be on the catalyst of something potentially hostile, or potentially not. But there is a potential threat that something could be developing in this area, and we may not be ready to face it.
General Kargan interjects himself at this point. You are sure it is a threat, Commander? And you're not using
Not
that
at
as captain, pardon me, not commander. I'm demoting you already. He's demoted you
Not
in his
at all.
eyes.
Yeah, not at all, General. It is. There is a potential. We do not know either way. But there is something going on in here. There are too many coincidences happening within this area of space, which, if I were a betting if I were someone that was willing to put bets on, I would be betting that there is something that we aren't seeing going on.
Talliaferro interjects at this point as well. There you go. See? There's something going on, and therefore something we need to investigate. The Candidate 3 system right now is showing strange tetraionic EM and gravimetric readings beyond the norm. There are planets there that shouldn't be there. We need to investigate. Admiral Hebert re-interjects herself. This is a tricky one. I take it you already know, Captain, that this is very close to the border with the Romulans.
I do, Captain. I do, Admiral. This is why, initially, when Dr. Talliaferro approached us, we discussed whether using the Bellerophon would be a more suitable candidate because they are more science-based than the Navis. Then,
Do you want me to bring Captain Corbett and Captain Blackfoot over?
I think the captains have worthwhile in their saying, Admiral.
All right,
Ultimately,
then.
the decision is yours and General Cargan's to make. We can only offer our advice on our expertise.
Feel free to call over the rest of your senior staff then, Andrews, if they want to put their own oars in.
Yeah, I will signal to Vibers to bring everyone else over.
Mike, are you with us? You are
I
currently
am.
muted.
My internet was spotty, sorry.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, the entire senior staff, including yourself, are being invited over to have a discussion with the Admiral, so feel free to move your character token closer if you can, unless you're having more internet-based woes. I mean, I can drag you over if absolutely necessary, but I'd rather see if you've got control of your character first.
Let's see. Do I right-click it? Or...
Just left-click and hold, and then drag to where you want to go. Woo! You've got everybody selected.
Me again. I'm so sorry.
It
That's
automatically
cool.
happens when you come to the new thing. I always do that, so I have to click off.
Ah, is that what it is? Oh, that's fine. People have been jumping up anyway to get involved in discussions and whatnot, so having everybody move that way is no big thing.
Yeah. I don't know how to get it off.
Right, so if you just find an empty space, click, hold, and drag to draw like a square in an empty part of the map when there are no tokens,
Okay.
and you should create a deselect.
Okay. There we go.
There we go. You
Okay,
can also
I'm sorry,
use
I
the with that's fine. Don't worry about it, mate. If you have your token selected, you can also use the directional keys to make your character jump square by square. So,
Okay.
as an additional option. Hey, everybody went back. Okay, cool. Oh, and they've gone up again. Everybody's having a right old discussion. They're moving this way. They're moving that way.
It's just a jump to the left. And a step to the right.
Put your hands
And
on
it
your-
devolves into everybody singing along.
Well, we've got
Apparently
to have
to
a
the
musical
Rocky
episode at some point.
Well, I was hoping it wouldn't come to that, but because even though some of us here are Welsh, not all the Welsh have great singing voices, I'm afraid. We're not all that well adapted to close harmony singing. So, anyway. Nevertheless, I shall click, hold, and drag Ori over so he's with his shipmates. Boop. Blackfoot insinuates himself. Ah, you finally want some professional opinions, then I see.
Cap, just before.
Thank you, Commander. You've just reminded me, Captain. Admiral Ducasse would love for you to attend at the earliest your convenience to visit her new command. Should you ever have the opportunity to do so.
I'm sure I'll be washing my hair. I'm in no mood to see where her family connections have put her for the time being. Thank you very much. How are you doing, Captain Andrews? Forgotten where you are yet?
Not at all, Captain.
Oh, makes a change from what I've been hearing. If we could keep this on point, says Admiral Hebert. Obviously, we have a situation with the Candidate 3 system being so close to the Romulan border. A point was made that the Bellerophon, being the science vessel, might seem to be seen to provoke less of a response.
It's a bit more harmless.
I'm sure the Bellerophon, replies Captain Blackfoot, would be happy to take anything off of the Navis's hands, considering, of course, that their ship doesn't fall apart on the way to the Candidate 3 system if they do go. They'll probably need our help picking up the pieces.
Sorry, how much experience have you got with the telekill technology? What is
Enough to know not to stick my face in things I don't understand, Commander.
Then you're clearly not suitable for this mission.
Well, if we've already made up our minds, then why the hell am I here, Admiral?
I don't know, you came over.
Commander.
Oh, sorry, Captain.
No, that was correct. It was entirely inappropriate. Please see me later.
Why do I get the feeling there was a wink and a nudge there? It's a fascinating. Oop, who did we lose?
Someone's gone.
Mike. We've lost Mike again. He said his internet's spotty. We seem to be losing him a good bit. I see what you mean about your internet being spotty there, Mike. Just hold on for a bit longer. No, I absolutely agree, continues Captain Blackwood. If you want actual trained professionals to get involved with this situation in order to make sure that A, things are actually found and catalogued correctly, and B, nobody starts shooting all of their quantum torpedoes at a moment's notice at the Romulans, even if they just poke their noses from their side of the neutral zone, I suggest you actually send the Bellerophon, Admiral. Whereas, Captain Corbett interjects, myself, I have no objection to the Navis going. Maybe a show of ready force might be enough to dissuade the Romulans that it's an idea, especially maybe if I heard on the grapevine that Captain Akul and the Mapui were interested. Maybe after everything that's happened with the war between the Klingons and the Federation, now that it's over, a show of solidarity with two of our best, most able ships together, that might be a good idea. Just putting it out there. Admiral Hubert sighs. In all honesty, now, all of you, you truly think this is worth investigating, regardless of how close to the Romulans this is?
Honestly, Admiral?
Honestly.
Based off previous things with the Romulans, if we don't get involved, that system's likely to explode. That's more likely to cause an incident.
Especially if you guys are at the helm, adds Blackbird. Noticing nobody's picked up on that obvious bait.
Well,
Hebert continues.
I've been told not to say anything. So, well, not directly, but still.
I'm going to join you for a pint after.
Tasman is twiddling his antennae.
Which
Andrews is definitely Ori and Nova would get off of Andrews that she wants to say something but bit her tongue. And like she's not going to sink to his level.
Fair enough. Yep, very heavy emotional sense of that coming over to our empaths. But good. Claude is now standing behind Blackford, I notice.
Admiral, whilst
trying to be in good behaviour, failing miserably.
Whilst I understand with Captain Blackford being as a science vessel, I do agree with... Oh, was he gone? Captain Corbett, that the show of strength between the Navis and the Mapui may be more beneficial, and the fact that we have had first-hand interaction.
Captain Nicole speaks up. I second this motion. Hebert looks over at Kargan. Kargan is just doesn't seem to want to be here, and just nods as if to indicate, yes, fine, whatever gets this over faster. Incidentally, the moment that Kaval Thazanan twiddled his antennae, he noticed that Lieutenant Sharessa over here, she cocked a very quizzical eyebrow and tried mimicking it herself with her own antennae and failed.
It's a human thing.
It's a changeling thing, remember? It's a changeling thing.
Oh, sorry.
All right, says Hebert at last. You make good points. I agree. An investigation should be made, if anything, just so that evidence so far has pointed to not exactly an escalation, but it does seem to anything associated with whatever or whoever this is seems to at least present a very definite threat to those who investigate it. The Tesla and every other encounter the Navis have had with it seems to suggest technology that's way beyond our levels, but also technology that proves to be a danger, potentially. So those who have direct experience, as has been noted, should be the ones who encounter it. And the offer of a show of solidarity does make a lot of strategic sense.
As part of this, Admiral, I would recommend that all information that we have gathered is shared between all four ships gathered here. Perhaps there is information that has been misinterpreted or missed. Having 4 ships and the computer cores of all 4 working on things, we may find additional information that has not been currently found by either the Navis or the civilian science teams as well.
Captain Corbett interjects. I can totally get behind most of that. The one thing I do have to draw a question is as to, Captain, if you were insinuating that perhaps all the ships of the fleet should go on this mission?
No, not at all. Mainly the fact that your ships, we share all of our data that we've acquired with you both.
I see. Very good, very good. Mike, are you
Just
having...
so that you're...
Sorry, just hold on to that for a second, Webby. Mike, are you having problems there? I'm hearing a lot of popping coming from your microphone.
Oh, but I'll silence it.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just I wanted to make sure you were okay. All right then. Sorry. Go on, Webby.
So yeah. Mainly just to say that if we have all your science teams, the Bellerophon science teams, going over the data as well, we may find between us all there's information that's been missed. We don't understand the Tilical at all, as in our internal ship briefing is that there is a split decision on whether there is a chance that it's hostile or whether it is another technologically advanced race that is reaching out for aid that's stuck on the opposite side. We don't know. So having additional people look through the data may help to make a decision on which way we need to go.
Admiral Hebert looks over at Talliaferro, who is nodding emphatically. She then directs her attention to Captain Corbett, who just nods sagely. She then looks over at Blackfoot, who just can't help himself. Better than relying on these clowns. At least somebody has to proofread their stuff.
It'll be good for the second best Turco expert in the Federation to look over our research.
That's when you kind of look over at Dr. Talliaferro, and you notice that Talliaferro's attention has now shifted from paying attention to what you guys are talking about. She now has an eye on the probe telemetry feeds and rushes over to the displays. There, a wild surge of data suddenly flashes over the screens. Over the display, I should say, sorry. Static clouds up the feed, and then the looming, shadowy form of a Romulan Dideridex warbird decloaks and fires several bright green disruptor blasts towards the view screen. The telemetry scrolls and video feeds from several probes abruptly wink out, one after the other, leaving blank screens. Dr. Talliaferro stares at the screens and turns towards all of you and goes, Sirs, the Romulans, they've wiped out our long-range probes in the Canada 3 system!
Told you, they'll be having a hand in whether we liked it or not.
Sends notes to Hello to start encrypting and passwording everything. Alrighty. Unit Hello is more than happy to start engaging the, what is it, the Viber's Latude protocol? Or has that been updated since?
Well, it wasn't going that far.
Or Nova's personal data.
Ah, Nova's personal data, gotcha. Fingers his Ushan tour. I just saw that. Vibers to Bravo, prep for departure and get us ready to go. Yes, indeed. Admiral Hebert at this point says, right, all civilians, please leave the auditorium. This has now become a military matter. Talliaferro doesn't look happy about it, but the civilians are do depart the auditorium.
Captain, do you mind if I get the non-senior officers back to their stations to get us ready to go?
Agreed.
Right, all non-senior officers, Navis, you know your positions, get back to the ship and get us ready.
Okay, Admiral Hebert states. Mission parameters for this are very, very simple. If this technology is as dangerous as you think it is, or is the key to finding out the identity or the location of a species who may be calling out for help, then chances are good that if the Romulans are there to get involved, they're there to take whatever it is that we're looking for.
Initially,
Orders?
they may not know. They may believe that we are spying on the Romulan Empire from there, because they are long-range probes.
Therefore, I recommend you making all the best efforts to appear as non-threatening as you can until you find cause to defend yourselves. And that goes for the Mapui as well. Captain Akul just nods. Kargan doesn't seem all that pleased, but Akul seems he's again showing how atypical of a Klingon he is, but he is there just rubbing his hands together, probably thinking, actually, whilst Ori and Nova are nearby, they definitely sense some enthusiasm from Akul now, ever since the Romulans turned up on screen. Akul's enthusiasm for the job has just increased. But nonetheless, the Mapui and the Navis are being given the mission with intent of getting there as fast as you possibly can to speed off without delay. So unless there's anything particular you guys want to do before you go, then as you guys are making your walk towards boarding the Navis, Dr. Talliaferro runs to keep up with you and starts handing out data pads mostly to Edwards, but also hands them over to Ori and whoever else will take them from her.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the bits of scientific information that Talliaferro has on the sensors and the long-range probes that they sent. So this is all the sensor telemetry, the probe data that was gathered before the Romulans shot them out. She's handing them over to you guys to be able to examine whilst you are in transit.
Thank you. Most appreciated.
I'd probably send some, at least a good chunk of it to Caval's way, just to see if it identify the ship, and maybe if it's a bit more prominent, he might even have heard of this one. Isabel, because it's one of his knacks, isn't it, for identifying specifically ships, classes as well, if I have note.
A focus on starship recognition is what Cabal Thazanan has, yes.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Deridex.
D. Deridex class warbird, so it's basically the bigger warship that the Romulans tend to.
The one with the big hole in the middle.
I was thinking more just if there's any identifying markers that might be able to single out as one that we actually have records attached to.
You can try, but the likelihoods of that would be small because you know how the Romulans like to protect their technology.
Right.
They don't like anybody finding out about it.
Majority of the Deridex, it's impossible to tell differences on them. They don't even put names on the Romulan ships.
Fair enough.
But if we're talking weight class and scale, the Navis and the Mapui, I believe, are both the same scale 5 ships. Let me make absolutely certain I'm not making that up. Starfleet ships, Klingon ships, a Cavort class battle cruiser is indeed scale 5. So both the Mapui and the Navis will be the same scale, but Romulan Deridex class warbirds are a size bigger again. They are the same size as a Galaxy class, so if they are still present in the system when you get there, that's what you might be up against. With that knowledge, well, basically, are there any other preparations what you want to make before the Navis sets off along with the Mapui? Okay. I will ask... yeah, go on.
I think maybe we can have some protocol established between us and the Mapui. I think just a few things like if one side's under duress or something like that in case of, I guess, Romulan boarding.
Okay, so like a short burst encoded transmission of a certain predetermined type just to quickly indicate when someone's in trouble, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's no problem. Sorry, I heard a weird sound then. Yeah, sure, that's no problem at all. That's that's something that's easily done between both communications officers on board the Navis and the Mapui. No problems there at all.
Simple, like condition green.
Yeah.
Green generally sounds like it's non-hostile.
And throw in a couple of phrases from various Klingon operas or something.
No, it just needs to be 2 words, condition green. Because it can go out as a standard ship report. You know, the 2 ships can be in continual conversation with each other. And the 2 ships know if condition green is in any of the logs, it suggests that there is trouble.
There you go. Okay, cool. Anyone else got anything else they'd like to suggest? Precautions to take, that kind of thing.
The area of space itself, is there, other than the data that Talliaferro's got, is there anything of particular note that should be warned, like the stars not going nova anytime soon? Or...
To that end, I am going to ask Mike to utilize his role as Chief Science Officer. And
Science!
Yes, indeed. This will be representing Lieutenant Ori giving an examination of the data that Talliaferro has just handed. I will ask Gareth if you can be the Navis to help collate this information. So the Navis will be assisting with computers and science. Reason and science can be used by Lieutenant Ori to collate the data for so that you can pre-warn the captain and the navigation officer and whoever else needs to know about anything that needs to be known as indicated by the scans of the system.
Okay, I want to use my computer expertise also.
Okay.
Talent.
So that's going to be, whenever you attempt a task that involves programming or studying of a computer system, you can add a bonus D20 to your pool. So I suppose using computers as a focus for that would preempt that. So that's cool. No problems there. So, what am I doing again?
2 dice?
I should think so. Let me just check that one more time, because you are using... You may add a bonus D20 to your pool, so you actually can roll 3. And 1 success from the ships. That's 4 successes overall, so you get 2 over and above what you needed to succeed. So, from the information you've gathered, and or I can disseminate this to everybody who needs to know, the system... The Candidate 3 system appears densely packed with pockets of the same electromagnetic and gravimetric eddies that seem to permeate throughout much of the Shackleton Expanse. The density of the anomalies in the system has no apparent source. You can, if you want, since you have got, I think it's Rapid Hypothesis. If Ori spends a momentum, you can try and obtain more information.
Does the crew agree with spending a momentum for that?
Yeah, spend it.
Yep.
So you do get 2 for the price of 1 here, which is the good thing about it.
So is that form a challenge or a task?
It's just basically spend the momentum, so just knock 1 momentum off of the pool to take us from 2 to 1. And this allows you to more deeply analyze the data. So as a result of this, you can basically ask a question relating to the data that you've just found, but you can actually ask 2.
Well, I'm wondering, the densely packed fields, those, now you may have already, those are spread throughout the Shackleton Expanse, and where we're going, are the fields significantly more dense or the same relative density?
Good question. So, yes, the Shackleton Expanse is well known for its large amount of gravimetric distortions and eddies that make it difficult flying, as it were. The anomalies in this system are of comparable nature to that found throughout the Expanse. The difference here is that most of the gravimetric and electromagnetic eddies that you've encountered so far, that others have encountered so far in the Shackleton Expanse, have all had a reasonable discernible source, like the nebulae that you fly through, which are charged with particles and the like. But so far, it seems the Candidate 3 system has got similar eddies and currents, but or at least it's got similar anomalies, but no corresponding source. So, what about your second question?
Oh, does anyone have a question they'd like to ask?
Yep, open to the crew.
Don't you dare say the crabs think we walk sideways.
The only thing that's actually thinking in my head was actually more. Is there any way to track a ship by its cloaking device?
Yes.
I was thinking it might be worth tuning any sensors to be able to pick up on the same kind of frequency, so we might be able to at least get an early warning or even predict where they're going to move.
Now, the questions asked with an obtain information thing usually have to be in regards to the task that you've just done. But since you asked the question, you already... anyone who you ask in sensors and tactical, or anywhere really, will tell you that, yes, a cloaked ship can still be located. It's not easy. It depends on how well they're able to mask the tachyon particles that they're giving off.
Yeah, and the Romulans are a lot better at it than the Klingons.
They are.
Because the Klingons stole the technology off the Romulans originally.
That and 80 years further development does kind of make a dent.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will give you for free then is that with Ori analysing the data, he suddenly comes to the realization that the eddies in the system seem to exhibit properties similar to that of gases vented from a massive machine. Where that machine may be and how it may be generating these byproducts is indeterminate given the data you have available.
Oh, great. We're looking for a Dyson sphere-sized machine that doesn't show up on long-range scans.
Oh, fun.
That would warp the gravity in the surrounding areas, right?
Potentially.
Yeah.
So we could look for those gravity distortions, although with all the different wells of distortion.
Yes. It's going to be tough.
I've got a basic question we can consider.
Uh-huh.
Do we have a safe course there? In the Shackleton Expanse. We haven't anywhere else.
I mean, you're able to get through the familiar bits of the Expanse quickly because you're so familiar with it, and because, of course, you've negotiated interesting and little-known safe routes through it, thanks to your contact with the Orion Rainer. But in this case, getting to the Candidate 3 system, it is off further than you've been to this point. So you basically have to find your way there just by traveling there. You do have the benefit of having the probe data because, you know, they track their course to get to the Candidate 3 system, so it's not as if you're going to pass by a sudden star going nova, but you can find your way well enough to the Candidate 3 system without meeting too many dangerous pockets of gravimetric or electromagnetic disturbance. As such, you have no encounters on your way to the Candidate 3 system. What you find when you do land at the Candidate 3 system, I'm afraid I'm going to leave until next week.
Dun dun dun.
Indeed. So yes, this was a different kind of episode today. It was very much involved at the start with all the science and the downtimes, and this one has been a very talky, dialogue-heavy session thus far. But I promise we do get into more of the investigative action next time, now that we've established who's going with you, and why. So, yes.
Andrews is going to leave the bridge in Viber's hands and go down to the holodeck suites and load up program Blackford 1, and it's just a punching bag with Blackford's face on it.
It reminds me of those kind of bobble ones. They never like go fall over. They always tip but come back up.
Oh, Andrews is hitting this hard enough; it's falling over.
all these rumors that have been going around about the Navis, Lieutenant Ori, and your recently assigned, where is she? She's over with her engineering buddies, Lieutenant Stevens. They can both corroborate that the Navis has got a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of rumors circulating about the Navis. Strangely enough, they all seem to track back to one person.
Could it be?
Shame that we're gonna have to drop some rumours on the station that the Navis has had to take this job because
Because
Bellerophon
Bellerophon's incompetent.
isn't competent enough to do the job. And even though they've been in this sector for ages discovering things around the Shackleton Expanse,
A science
they
vessel that
don't-
can't find scientific discoverers.
there's a science vessel who doesn't understand the big problem in their area. They're too narrow-minded.
Bless. In any case, yeah, that's where I am afraid we are leaving this episode for today, but the next part of this episode will continue next week. Same time, same place. So, yeah, let me just make sure that everyone of the crew are available next week.
Should be.
Yep.
I am
Excellent.
the
But
ability to.
You broke up again then, Mike.
yeah,
Available, but I may not be able to completely participate constantly.
any reason specifically?
Well, yes, I bought a new house. I'm getting some furniture delivered there,
Ah, so you may be
Fair
having
enough.
to go to and from. Okay, that's fine.
but I can definitely get it on my phone, and at least I may not be able to make rolls, but I can at least participate on my phone.
Okay, nope, that's the wonders of modern technology. We can get around that fine, as long as you can participate, at least as voiceover, for lack of a better thing. We can have peeps rolling your rolls for you. That's no problem. That's no problem at all. So, before we depart, anything anybody wants to add or announce before we depart? Then in that case, I will say thanks to everybody who tuned into the stream. I hope you at least enjoyed listening in to us. I guarantee there'll be a bit more action next time. There was a lot of prelude to this. Let me get to
Next week to see Claude hit his button.
Yes, maybe. Yes,
Oh,
we don't know
Claude just hits
exactly
his
what the
button with
Romulans are doing,
Blackwood's
but
head. This is how Claude press button now.
big button shaped like Blackwood's face. I like it. Yes. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks to my players as per usual for making this so great and entertaining. I will ask everybody out there to live long and prosper, and also to remember to do like the Vulcans do. And I don't mean render somebody unconscious with a nerve pinch, because you know that gives you a terrific headache afterwards.
Yeah, you use that on Sunday. Need to be more original.
I've only got so much I can pull from the Vulcan bag. I'm sorry, but in any case,
Be like the Vulcans, be discount Romulans.
be passionless Vulcan Romulans. So yes, practice infinite variety or infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And we will see you next week for the continuation of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves, especially in these nuts times. And we will see you again. Healing frequencies now closed.